It really, doctrine simply means whatever is taught. That's what doctrine means, something that is taught. Solomon, in, I believe it's Proverbs chapter number 4, he said this in verse number 1, "Hear ye children the instruction of a father, and attend to no understanding." And then he said this, "For I give you good doctrine. Forsake ye not my law." And those Proverbs, of course, especially the early ones, were instructions to his son. And they were his precepts. They were doctrine. They were what he was teaching him. And in the Bible, you find all kinds of doctrine. You don't just find good doctrine. You find all kinds of doctrine in the Bible, things that are taught. For example, hold your place here in Timothy and go back a couple of pages to Colossians chapter number 2. Colossians chapter number 2. In verse number 20, Colossians 2, just back a few books there through Thessalonians and then to Colossians. Look at verse number 20 of chapter 2. "Wherefore, if ye be dead with Christ from the rudiments of the world, why, as though living in the world, are ye subject to ordinances?" And he's speaking about the Old Testament ordinances, as we saw in Sunday school, that were blotted out at the cross. And I believe that's what it says in verse number 14, if you'd look at that. Verse number 21, "Touch not, taste not, handle not, which all are to perish with the using, after the commandments and" what? "Doctrines of men." And so in the Bible you find doctrines of men. And this is stuff, sometimes it may have a biblical basis or a biblical point at one point in time, but we could generally apply it to stuff sometimes that man comes up with that's just the doctrine of man. It's not necessarily in the Bible. Okay? Like stuff like wash your hands before you eat. Is that good? Sure, but it's a doctrine of man. Stuff like, if you come to my house, take off your shoes. Right? It's your doctrine. It's the doctrine of man. If you come into my house, that's the expectation. These things aren't necessarily right or wrong. They're just the doctrines of men. Things that are taught of men. So you have that. You have doctrines of men. What's dangerous is when those doctrines become the commandments of God. When people force the doctrines of man, and it's nothing from the Bible, but it's repeated so many times, people begin to assume it is in the Bible, but it's just not there. And this is what happens in religion a lot of times. And this is how religion ends up taking tradition, as Christ said, and the doctrines of men over the commandments of God. And you say, well, where's that in the Bible? I don't know. Someone told me. It's not in the Bible. It was just passed down all this. It's not there. And it's just a doctrine of man.